The next item is item number 112 Givens Street. Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Members, are you there? Yeah. Alrighty. All right, item number 20, 112 Givens Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a staff report from planning, and they're asking for a screening condition. We have one speaker listed. Are they on the line? Okay, Mr. Goldman, you're back. Are you there?
Hello, Chair, members of the committee. Yeah, it's Barry Goldman again.
Okay.
The architect and agent for this proposal.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna start the clock now because we have one speaker in opposition.
Okay, so this is an existing, it presents as a semi. I believe technically it is a detached house, but it does present as a semi when you're looking at it on the street. And essentially what we're doing is squaring off an awkward corner at the rear, adding a little bit of GFA to the existing, not very much. I think the existing GFA, so I'm just looking at my statistics. We're adding, it's about 1.02 times coverage right now, and we're proposing 1.2. So a modest addition entirely at the rear. On the front, what we're doing is raising the roof line. If you go to the front elevation, I think it's my page A7, thank you. Really what we did is we raised the roof line on the right to match the adjacent roof line of the neighbor on the left. Currently it's a little lower and it just looks a little lopsided. So it's primarily an aesthetic. It will improve the headroom in the existing third floor, but what it will do more importantly is align with the neighbor that is touching. Again, it does read as a semi-detached, despite the fact that they are detached dwellings. And that's really why we're seeking the height variance. We're not going any higher than the existing roof line. So with that, I'd suggest that the variances that we're proposing are minor in nature and meet the 4 tests and are desirable for the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. We'll have you back to address concerns raised. Do you have the resident?
Yep. Michelle, if you're there, you're unmuted.
Hi, my name is Michelle Reed and I live at 116 Givens Street. I guess I was under the understanding that it was going to be a much higher variance and that it would affect, and I thought they were going to be going back quite a ways at the rear, and so I was afraid that it was going to affect my sunlight, but I'm seeing now that that's not the case. So I don't really have any concerns.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker or Mr. Goldman? No? Okay, Mr. Goldman, we're ready to go into committee unless there's something that's not in the submissions. We've read all the material.
No, please go ahead.
Okay, great. Panel members, any comments? Okay, a motion then, if there are no comments.
Well, I'm happy to move a motion. I think that is a modest addition to an existing house that is with the character of this really nice neighborhood. I think it's a full addition, and it doesn't have any, I don't think, any negative impact on any of the adjacent neighbors. So I'm happy to move approval subject to planning spec condition with respect to screening on the third floor balcony.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Bayat? Okay, motion to approve including the April 7th planning condition Moved by Mr. Clay, seconded by Mr. Bayat. All in favor? The application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 21, 46 Old Bridle Path. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. A covering letter from Mr. Rendell, the agent. An arborist report from Urban Forest Innovations, Inc. Correspondence in response to objections. And we have email correspondence from enforcement, parking, transportation, as well as ravine and natural feature protection. They didn't give us any conditions. They have no concerns. Correspondence in opposition from number 44 Old Bridle Path, and I believe it's regarding blockage of the dining room. They'd like the location changed and impacts on the street character. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's Martin Rendell, agent for the owner.
Do you have the speakers on the line? Yeah. Okay, Mr. Rendell, we do have one speaker in opposition, so if you can please do a presentation, no more than 5 minutes, starting now.
Sure, if staff could put up the site plan.
Sure.
SB02, which shows the garage.
That one?
No, the site plan that shows the location of the garage. It's drawing SP.02.
Maybe start the clock again after, when we find it.
Should be the second or third one in the set.
Okay, I think we almost found it here. Just another couple seconds.
In the
Got it?
That-
Okay.
That's
Alright.
it, perfect. Okay, the proposal here is to construct a detached garage in the front yard of an unusual property in the area. The garage, which you see there and labeled, is setback 12 meters from the street. It has a 3.675 meter height, which complies with the maximum height. It's a flat roof garage, it's not a sloped roof. As you can see on the site plan, 46 Old Bridle Path is at the end of Old Bridle Path, which is a dead-end street. The only other property on Old Bridle Path that has driveway access is the property to the north, number 44, which you see there. The property is subject to Toronto Ravine Protection Policy, and the garage is located entirely on private property, so there is no license required for the garage or to park a car within the garage. As I mentioned, the property is of a unique configuration that you see here. The house at 46 Old Bridle Path is set back approximately 34 meters from the road. It's set to the north and to the east. The reason for the garage location arises from the fact that currently the owners have no garage on the property and are parking their vehicles underneath a mature red oak tree, which is in the center of the site plan. You can see there with the two trunks. That's it there, thank you. The clients engaged an arborist to advise them on how to retain the oak tree, to assess its health, how to retain it, and where the best location for the garage would be. They want a garage because at the present time, around the oak tree is where they have a parking area, and being an oak tree and a mature oak tree in the fall, there are substantial acorns that drop down on their cars and damage their vehicles. The garage is set back approximately 8 meters from the north lot line, which runs diagonally to the northeast. The garage overlaps approximately 0.6 meters of the dining room window at 44 Old Bridle Path. and it does not block the view to the south from 44 Old Bridle Path or any of the windows to the south. It does not obstruct the view to the south. Currently, and again, the owners have submitted a letter dated May 14th, which has pictures of the property, and you'll see there that because 44 Old Bridle Path basically faces south across my client's property, their views now are blocked, if you like, by hedges, existing trees, and further south along the city ravine edge, there are mature trees which also form a canopy that screens the view to the south. The reason for this location is in part because of the unique and unusual configuration of the property, and the motivation has been to remove the hardscape around the red oak tree and to basically rehabilitate the tree on the basis of the arborist's recommendation on maintaining and preserving the tree. That is also an objective of the city's urban forestry department, which is to protect and maintain the mature tree canopy of the city. The garage was located as far east as was possible to minimize the impact on views to the north, and the owners have been particularly mindful of achieving ecological and environmental improvements to the property. There are, as you've noted, there are no objections from community planning, ravine protection, or transportation staff. I want to speak briefly about the consultation process. My clients have consulted extensively for over a year with past and current neighbors, the Moore Park Residents Association, TRCA, Urban Forestry, and Ravine Protection. The property to the north in December 2019, my clients started to discuss the garage with the previous owners of 44 Old Bridle Path. Several options were reviewed in consultation with the arborist's recommendation, and the current location was arrived at through discussions with the previous owners, who in fact
Mr. Rendell?
further south.
Mr. Rendell, can you please wrap up? You're almost at 5.5 minutes.
Sure. The current owners took possession of the property in November of 2020. My clients in November of 2020 presented the garage plans and discussed it in person with the new owners. Full drawings were provided to them in December of 2020. And on December 19th, they had an in-person meeting to discuss the concerns with the new neighbors, and the applicant assumed that their concerns had been addressed in that in-person meeting. In April, those neighbors then filed their objection letter.
You're at 6 minutes.
Lastly, in terms of other examples within the neighborhood, on frankly more traditionally shaped lots, 94 Inglewood,
Okay,
110
I'm gonna
Inglewood,
I'm cutting you off
412,
now.
418 St. Clair, all have garages in the front yard.
Okay, thank you. Do you have the opposition on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. This is Maddie Toka speaking. I own and live at 44 Old Bridle Path with my husband, David Woodside.
Okay, you have 5 minutes starting now.
Thank you. So our position is that the applicant's request goes directly against the two zoning bylaws at issue, as they are requesting to build a double garage in their front yard and to allow for parking space in their front yard for 2 vehicles. I'd like to address the 4 tests under the Planning Act, if the committee is okay with that, as we don't believe that their proposal meets any of the 4 tests. With respect to the requirement that variances maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan, there are several policies under the official plan that are relevant to this application. Policy 2.3.1 recognizes some physical change will occur with respect to neighborhoods over time, but the same policy requires that new development in neighborhoods respect existing physical character of the area. And more specifically, 2.3.1.1 requires that development be consistent with the objectives and reinforce the existing physical character of buildings, streetscapes, and open space patterns in these areas. I'd also like to rely on policy 4.1.5 subpoint E, which requires development in established neighborhoods to respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, and in particular with respect to the location, design, and elevations of driveways and garages. It is our position that allowing the applicants to build this garage in their front yard at the entrance to their property would render the property incongruent with the streetscape of the block and the area and fundamentally change the character of the street. There are no other houses in the area that have a garage or separate structure in the front yard located between the street and their house, which is what the applicants are proposing. We have provided photo evidence to the committee of the immediate neighborhood showing that no such structures currently exist. What the applicants are truly asking for here is to turn the street into a semi-private driveway that leads to their property, making the street more akin to a laneway than a street. This is not in any way respecting the physical character of the streetscape and open space patterns in the area. I'd also like to bring up policy 3.1.2 of the official plan, which addresses built form and specifically states that new development will locate vehicle parking in a way that minimizes the impact on the property and on surrounding properties, and that improves the safety and attractiveness of adjacent streets and open spaces. The applicant's suggested location of garage in their front yard would not support these policies. It would not support the current plan context, nor would it minimize the impact on surrounding properties, nor improve the safety and attractiveness of the area. The second part of the test, that the variances must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaws. What we understand to be the general intent of zoning is to protect the stable and mature low density character of the neighborhood through standards or bylaws that are applied to the building of structures. The applicant's proposal does not protect the neighborhood character. In fact, the variances requested directly contravene the zoning bylaws and their intent. Locating a structure in the front yard clearly does not maintain the intent of a zoning bylaw that specifically does not allow for that. The third part of the test is that the variances are desirable for the appropriate development of the land. Our position here is that this is not an appropriate development of land. The changes requested do not represent an evolution of a development standard that's been evolving in the neighborhood. As already stated, the changes are inconsistent with the character of the neighborhood, and there is no suggestion that this type of development has been occurring to date or should occur. As to whether it is desirable, we maintain that allowing this application actually promotes instability in the neighborhood, as it has an adverse impact on adjacent properties. On our property specifically, the impact that this has is that the garage would be smack in the middle of our dining room window. And with respect to these variances, we believe that there may be other solutions that can get the applicants the garage they desire without compromising the character of the neighborhood and the adjacent properties. We have suggested some changes in one of the documents we submitted, or some alternate locations. One of them could in fact be the original location of the garage, which at some point was converted into living quarters. For all the reasons noted, we do not agree that these variances are minor and believe their effects are actually quite substantial. The applicants are not asking for a parking space that is lightly encroaching the front yard and requires a minor variance. What they are asking for is completely encroaching the front yard. There is no as of right condition. The two changes requested are not in any way permitted by law. They are clearly and fully in contravention to the existing bylaws. As of right, the bylaw allows for the location of parking garages and spaces not to impact adjacent property.
You're at 5
Yes.
minutes, so can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I'm almost there. So the applicants, what they are seeking to vary is, they're not seeking to vary the as of right, they're seeking to change it. They're operating outside of their rights. So this is why we maintain this is not a minor impact. In conclusion, yes, we have met with the applicants once. With due respect, we understand their desire for a garage, but we feel that there are other alternate locations, and we take no position on the previous conversations they've had with the previous owners of our house. We moved here in November and intend to live here with our son long term.
I need you to wrap up. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Rendell? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you please?
Just briefly, this does not turn Old Bridle Path into a semi-private driveway. It remains a public street leading to two properties. There are only two garages on Old Bridle Path because only two properties have driveways. The other properties to the west of 44 Old Bridle Path, and you'll see it in some of the photos that were provided by my clients, there's a significant grade change running north to those properties. The previous speaker spoke to the four tests and basically has a problem, it seems, with applicants making an application to the Committee of Adjustment for a variance from a zoning bylaw, which frankly is the purpose of the committee. It's provided for under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and you've been dealing with variances all day to the established zoning bylaw. The official plan, among other things, requires that new development respect and reinforce the existing physical character of the area. In my opinion, as a planner, it does. It's respect and reinforce. It doesn't say match exactly or do not change anything on your property that does not comply with the zoning bylaw. In terms of the applicant's suggestions for alternate locations, and they submitted after the deadline plans to you with those suggestions. The first one the previous speaker mentioned was basically removing living space on the ground floor at the east end of my client's house and converting that into a garage. And their second suggestion was placing the garage in front of the front door of my client's house, both of which are not acceptable to my client, but more importantly, would then require the driveway and paved surface and hardscaping to extend from the street frontage much deeper into the lot and across the root ball and other area of the red oak that is being rehabilitated here and maintained. In terms of this application creating instability in the neighborhood, with respect, I think that's not the case. This is a detached garage. It is not a new house. I have trouble concluding that a garage stimulates instability within a neighborhood in the context of the official plan. In my opinion, it is desirable for the property for the reasons that I've outlined. My clients have gone to extensive research and analysis in terms of arriving at an appropriate balance between their needs for a garage, the need to maintain and rehabilitate the existing oak tree, as well as minimize the impact on the property at 44 Old Bridle Path. As you can see from the plans here, and again, as I've said, there's a minimal amount of the garage that is directly in front of a portion of their dining room window. With great respect, I believe their views to the south as they exist today are maintained, and their views to the south today are impeded by existing hedges and trees to the south. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Rendell? No? Do any of you have any questions of the previous speaker? The neighbor? No questions? Okay. So we're ready to take it into committee then. Any comments?
Yes, I like to make a couple of comments, and the first comment is that the opposition had mentioned that the intent of this garage is the location of it is almost turning the public street into a private lane. I do not see that is the case. And the second comment I like to make is that about the view. As the photographs and the presentation material, so that there's quite a bit of, I call it screening. I do not think that it is blocked, by the existing shrubberies and trees already. And the proposed garage is only 1 story, and it seems that they also want to put a green roof on top. And I just like to mention that view, the access to a view is not a feature that protected by bylaw. And unfortunately, that is the case. And I don't have any objection to this proposal because I think it's a very unusual lot, and there are not too many properties in the area. I do not think that it will set a precedent of destroying the character of the area.
Any other comments, Mr. Clay?
Yeah, I'll weigh in. I would agree with everything that you said. I'm not convinced by an argument that a garage on a really large property at the end of a road is going to change the nature of this neighborhood. I just don't think that. I think a little disingenuous to mount that as a concern. I would agree that I do know that the separation between the lot line and by extension the neighbor's house and where the location of the garage is going to be built seems to be quite a substantial difference. And you know, the owner has tried, I think, to position it in a way that is off to the side and away from the neighbor's house as much as possible, because they want it in front of you. And you know, rehabbing the large red oak is I think a sort of feature of this whole development. So I don't think it's out of character with the neighborhood. These are large homes on large lots, and I too think I would in support of this application.
Mr. Bayat, did you have anything to add?
Not much more, Madam Chair, other than I support the comments of both my colleagues.
Okay, I'll need a motion then.
So, Madam Chair, I would like to move for approval with no conditions.
Okay, seconded by...
I'll second.
Okay. Motion to approve, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Clay. All in favor? Your application has been unanimously approved. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Item number 22, 653 Manning Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have presentation materials that were received in April, 2 form letters in support from 651 and 655 Manning, both adjacent properties. We have correspondence in opposition from 676 Euclid. They're expressing concern about the height, laneway blockage, floor space index, and that there are the 2 parking spots. There is some issue with that. Okay, is the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Adam Brander and my address is 49 Bolton Avenue in Toronto. I'm the architect and the agent for the application at 653 Manning Avenue.
Thank you. Do you have the opposition on the line? Yeah. Okay, Mr. Brander, we have 1 speaker. Can you please give us a presentation, no more than 5 minutes?
Sure. I'm here to request relief for 5 total variances. The first is the maximum permitted height of the front and rear walls is 7.5 meters. The proposed rear wall is 9.07 meters proposed. If we look at the first sheet in the support material, if we get that up, it illustrates the extent of the proposed rear addition in blue and compares it to the considerably more extensive as of right built form for the area. And we can see from this that the built form is generally in keeping with the overall intent of the bylaw. And also to note, there's no building height variance being requested. Second variance looks at FSI of 1.17 where 0.69 is permitted. Sheet 2 of the support material shows past decisions of approvals in the area for 1.0 to 1.2 as common, where this application fits within. As well, there are some examples in the area of 1.5 and above range that were also approved. It's our observation that the local lens and close proximity to Bloor, most notably as an arterial route in our city, can and should support a bit more density, say, than other pockets of similarly classified zones in the city. Our rear yard landscaping is proposed as 42%, where 50 is as of right, a deficiency of 8%, which would seem minor. Variance 4 looks at the interior floor area of secondary suites, greater than 45% of the total area. Though if we refer to the R zone, permitted residential building types include single-family homes up to 4 units here, are all permitted, as well as apartment buildings with 5 or more units. So that would seem in keeping with the permitted use. Variance 5 looks at 3 parking as of right, where 2 are provided. And support material in sheet 3 shows the local parking zone, 4B, where street parking permit is available. As of last month, there are 109 street parking permits not being used, which constitutes over 20% availability of spaces. And surely this availability can be utilized if needed. And additionally, we show here alternative, perhaps more preferable modes of transit, show remarkable scores across the board for this community, including walkability, transit, and bikeability inclusive. And these are trending upwards. And these would be our remarks on the variances associated with this gentle density proposal, as minor in support of the general intent, the bylaw, and the official plan, and desirable for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Panel members, if you can hold your questions till we hear from the opposition. Okay, Mr. Reinders, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi there.
Hi. Can I also have your address for the record, please?
Yeah, I'm at 676 Euclid Avenue.
Okay, you have 5 minutes. We're going to restart the clock now.
Can I share screen and show something on this as well?
Sorry, what would you like us to do?
To share screen and illustrate something?
Sure, what do you want us to put up?
You got it. Yeah, just the second sheet, the second page. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
So, as you can see, this property is actually in my backyard. I'm on 676 Euclid. So this is to the west of me. As you can see, look, this is the rear. It's really the rear that causes the rear of this proposed development that causes issues. It's at the very end of a laneway. All these properties that you see at the top of this image are all retail establishments on the south side of Bloor Street. So all day long there are deliveries coming up and down this laneway to service all those retail properties. So as you can imagine, it's already very, very congested space at the end of the laneway. That sort of speaks to the fact, there is really no spare space, and I find it strange that on the drawings that were submitted, it said around, as you can see from this image, there is no parking at this property currently. Where that white car is on common land on the laneway. So that's the first issue that's going to be very problematic if they're proposing to introduce fresh parking. And second point I have is really that this is a small semi-detached single-family dwelling that's being proposed to turn into a dedicated commercial 4-unit apartment building. There is no precedent for this either on Manning or on Euclid. There are some on Palmerston, yes, but not on Euclid or on Manning. So I think this is sets a very worrisome precedent. In addition, the variances are not minor. These are very major variances in terms of height, and 70% over what's permitted for floor space and density. In my opinion, is not minor. And finally, like what's proposed is seriously impinges on, the quality of life, the well-being, the privacy of all surrounding residents. So I think, in summary, those and probably in that sort of priorities are the main grounds for my objection.
Okay, thank you, sir. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? No? Okay. Mr. Brander, are you there?
Yep.
Can you please address the concerns expressed, including the issue regarding the parking? Is that piece part of that property or is it part of the laneway?
Sure. So yeah, I guess just running through the points. We understand the congestion in the city. It's an issue anywhere in the city. Maybe not as frequently now as once was, but yeah, not really the intent of this grounds for review of minor variances. The car in the photo that is being referenced is actually off the property, so that's just a car that's parked in the laneway. There was a building permit early last year, and that was approved for the 2 parking on the property as of right fast track application. And yeah, currently converting it from a 2-unit to a 4-unit converted house. Again, just echoing that this use is fully within the bylaw and no variance is required for that. Again, there's no height variance. And back to Exhibit 1 in the support material, which show that the as of right permitted built form is actually quite larger than what we're proposing. And it's just a consequence of the rear wall being a flat wall as opposed to a slightly sloped one. And yeah, echo that the density is in keeping with past applications in the area and surely future ones right in the downtown, close to Bloor Street. Thank you.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions? Ms. Chan and then Mr. Clay.
Yes, just one quick question. Variance number 1, is that an existing condition? The exterior wall height?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. The front wall is an existing condition. It's the rear wall. It is a newly recreated existing condition a bit further back, I guess, that triggers the variance technically.
You just fill in that, right? That corner is the blue corner, and then it should line up the height lines up with the existing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Clay?
Thanks, Chair. Just a quick one. It's like it's a fairly small addition on a rather existing house. I was just curious whether you knew what the existing FSI is. It looks like it's more than 0.6, not what I would assume. But do you,
the existing is above 0.69 through you, Madam Chair. I'm just referencing, the additional space looks like about 17 square meters, 16 square meters in that range.
Sorry, is that, so just, without doing a big calculation, what percentage of, if it's 17 meters, what percentage would that be of the existing floor space, do you know? I don't need accurate, I'm looking for ballpark.
Yeah, it would be about 1.08 ballpark.
Right, that's what you are at already, so 1.08 to 1.17?
Yeah, approximately.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
Mr. Bayat, did you have a question or? No? Okay. Any other questions, panel members? All right, let's take it into committee.
Madam Chair, if I may, I see that I feel that this particular proposal application is well within reason. It is not outside of the bounds of being reasonable. I'm quite prepared to propose that we accept the application as is for the variances that are requested.
Okay, Mr. Bayat has put a motion on the floor to approve the application. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Chen?
I will second it.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And I do agree with the analysis that I do not think this will create any kind of a negative impact in the neighborhood. And I think that's a very typical development in the area.
Okay, have a motion to approve, moved by Mr. Bayat, seconded by Ms. Chen. All in favor? Your application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Next item is item number 23, 728 Richmond Street West. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Presentation materials received April 7th. We have 3 form letters in support from 726, which is adjacent, 732 and 737 Richmond Street West. I'm not showing any speakers in opposition. Can I have the agent please identify herself for the record?
Hello, my name is Vanessa Fong, architect and agent for the homeowners.
Okay. Panel members, do you need a presentation? No? Do you have any questions for the agent?
Only because it's a row house, series of row houses. Did you guys talk to 730, which is the other adjacent homeowner?
Yes. Yes, both the homeowners and myself have talked to the owners at 730, and they've given us verbal approval and support, but they weren't able to sign anything, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, panel members? No? Ms. Fong, I think we're ready to go into committee. We've read all the materials. Or anything that you like to add that we're not aware of?
I don't think so. I think just in general, I think these variances are quite minor in nature, and yeah, I hope they get approved.
Okay. We'll take it into committee then. Any discussion?
I can put in my comment. I think that is actually very, very sensitive and clever manipulation of the existing massing by a little bit, and then creating a new and maybe more desirable living space. And I do agree that the 5 variances sought here are minor and meeting for 4 tests, and I'm ready to move for approval without any conditions.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the application moved by Ms. Chan. And do I have a seconder? Mr. Bayat? Okay, all in favor? Your application's been approved. Okay, our final application today is 115 Malvern Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We don't have any speakers listed, and we have 1 variance before us. Do I have the agent on the line?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Kyle Kadra here. Yeah.
Okay. Panel members, I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions of the agent? I believe this is just a conversion of the basement to an extra unit. No questions? Mr. Kadra, we've read all the material. We don't have any questions. We don't need a presentation. Is there anything that you want to add that's not in the materials that were submitted before we go into committee?
No, I leave it with you, Madam Chair.
All right, thanks. Okay, panel members, we'll take it into committee. Mr. Bayat.
Madam Chair, I think this is probably the most straightforward one we've had today. So I move that we approve the application as is.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Somebody, Mr. Clay. All right, motion to approve, moved by Mr. Bayat, seconded by Mr. Clay. All in favor? The application has been approved unanimously, and that concludes our session today at 6:15. The committee stands adjourned, and thank you, everyone. Ms. Chan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
evening.
Yeah, and you guys too, thanks.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.